Before the start of the sharing, let us please pay tribute to those who died in the protest back to Ukraine 2014, and more than 9,000 of those who ceased in the war-torn district in Donetsk, eastern Ukraine. Vulnerability, a slightly negative word that links to weakness, fear, and uncertainty. So when you travel to some exotic countries without planning what to do there, would you feel uncertain? When you enter a region where snipers are around you, would you feel scared? And when you travel to a region where you couldn't even pronounce its name correctly, would you feel vulnerable? And what if you travel with no plans, no safety insurance, and no way of communication at all? And there's only one word to describe a journey like this: vulnerable. So last year I went to Denmark for a one-semester exchange, and I studied journalism, and I accidentally traveled to 21 countries in roughly 6 months. So inspired by a friendly visit to the Czech Republic, I decided to be a backpacker who traveled to 6 countries within 1 week. But more than that, later on, I decided to do a project about Ukraine. It is my final project during the exchange semester, and it was life-risking. So more than that, I just managed to survive and get back to Denmark. Then I have to fulfill a promise to attend a birthday party in Siberia. And that's a quick one from my exchange semester back to Denmark. Very YOLO, isn't it? Yet, what I've learned was way more from taking selfies and checking in different European countries. It was all about finding my vulnerable soul. And it is something bigger than you imagine. What I've learned as the journey went on, vulnerability isn't a sign of weakness. Instead, it is a form of power. And that form of power arises from how unplanned, unarmed, and uncontrollable my journey was. And let me take you my very first part of the unplanned journey, traveling to 6 countries within a week. We all live in a world where things have to be certain, predictable, and successful. When we travel to a place, we tend to have a bucket list, a list that fulfills our innermost desire, that allowed us to get the first-hand experience in different places. Yet, it pushes us to be an extreme facilitator of consequentialism, meaning we tend to focus on the outcome and what showed up in the bucket list rather than what our hearts are beating for. So as a backpacker, I decided to drop all the bucket list, get myself disconnected, and back to the travel places, the places that I would like to travel. So this is the first scene when I disconnected with the internet. Instead of texting friends, sharing my instant memories in some foreign countries, I found an amazing hoodie in an Eastern European country. And it is really amazing to see when you see a new picture that is not framed by the authority and you meet new people telling the new story of that. So the second part is about individuality and loneliness. Of course, as a lone traveler, if you know no one from this place and then you know nothing about it, you will feel lonely and you will have a sense of individuality. But actually, it helps you to connect with the people. So I was in another European country, and by the way, it's Siberia, because it's Serbia. Sorry, I mixed up all this. So it was a family that I found out the father was a little bit disconnected with the rest of the family, and the way they socialized was a little bit awkward. And then I approached them, mingle with them, and try to spend several hours with them. So by the end of it, maybe they got a common mission to entertain and handle these stupid foreigners, asking them all the time for the questions and all the country's knowledge. And they start to be united, and they start to be less awkward. They start to be more intimate towards each other. And you can see, as from the eye of a photographer, you can see how playful and relaxed they are. And it is done by how vulnerable I accept myself as an individual in the very first place. And hence, I can get a picture like this. So imagine if I planned all these journeys in those 6 countries, like planning all the destinations and all the things that I want to do, doing all my bucket list. Would it be possible to achieve things like that? I don't think so. And this is the last journey of my unplanned journey. So I was in a music capital in a Central European country, and it was in the middle of the night, so rainy, and I couldn't catch the last train back to the airport. So I approached 3 random youngsters holding beers, and because of the similarity of our age, and that's why I tried to talk with them and ask where should I be to be staying in the upcoming hours, because it's in the middle of the night and I couldn't find a shelter. And then they were so friendly and they tried to show me around their place. And then we were completely strangers. And then after that, they did some graffiti on the streets, being rebellious to society. And it is something that you couldn't plan to do that, right? Because it is illegal. So this is the fun thing and the nicest thing that you can do when you are not planning a journey while you are backpacking. So getting back to that bucket list, would you do something because it is showed on a bucket list? Or would you be vulnerable, follow your heart, and get out of the comfort zone? I did the latter one. By the way, I advise you not to go to any war-torn district as a student journalist or as a student because it is very dangerous and I don't advise you to do that. Yeah. So we all live in a world where men are armed from the inside out, being hostile from nations to nations. But traveling should be fearless towards weapons. But well, I didn't travel to Donetsk, but I went there for a remarkable assignment about people's lives there. So it all traces back to 2013, the time when the Ukrainian revolution started. Hundreds were dead because of the protests, because for what they fought for. And I was watching TV broadcasting at that time, so I felt connected. And history seemed to repeat itself. So less than a year later, in Hong Kong, a massive occupation protest broke out, and I was witnessing all those 87 canisters of tear gas. And I feared because I thought there would be something similar like the Ukrainian revolution, and I don't want to see anyone suffering. But luckily, it ended up quite peacefully, I would say. So this is Donetsk, the war-torn region, where more than 9,000 people died there because of those occupations. So I would like to talk about, in the middle of this journey, how I found the brighter side of humanity. So, as the host said, so I went to a train and then I just used an online translation application and tried to translate from English to Russian and from Russian back to English. And I just talked to him, and then that guy is called Dima. And he just told me that actually, he's from Donetsk as well, and I was about to go there, and he was asking, why are you sending yourself to death? I was just flying from this war-torn region and go to find a safe life myself. And I said, because I want to know about what is it like to be in a war zone. I want to tell the story to the people around me. I want to let the people in Hong Kong know about what does it feel like to be in a war-torn region. As a Hong Konger who has grown up in Hong Kong, like homemade Hong Konger, I have never experienced in any war or any consequences after all these conflicts. And what I can tell is that when I was in that region being hosted by that friendly family, I was absolutely amazed. So Dima just left me and get back to the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, to work. And then he just left his wife, his mom, and his son to a stranger and to take care of me for 2 days. Can you imagine that? This is something that you could never have done if you are not showing the vulnerable side of yourself. And this is indeed powerful as a human being, as a cause that we are all fighting for. So this picture is not the pro-Russian militants in the occupied region in Donetsk, and actually they are the Ukrainian army and soldiers being around the borders, so-called borders between Ukraine and Donetsk, but Donetsk is part of Ukraine. So they are the soldiers, and what I would like to show you is that so after staying there for 2 days, that peaceful region with friendly, and then I just went all the way go to the war zone, getting through all these 6 checkpoints with a lot of armed soldiers. And I haven't got their pictures because it is illegal and illegal according to their laws, and I would be arrested and I would be jailed and I couldn't get back to do this TEDx talk. So they were actually much friendlier than I expected. So instead of having this kind of hostile attitude and being dangerous, as you imagine, oh, they're rebels, they're militants, and they should be so scary, right? But no, they say, konnichiwa, and they thought I was Japanese. So it is something that you didn't expect if you are not going there yourself, right? So let alone with all these political arguments. I believe, regardless of being Ukrainian or Russian or Hong Kong or Chinese or whatever you are naming off, we are all the same human being inside our hearts, and we are all fighting in our cause in different ways. So that's how we connected. That's how vulnerability can make us powerful. Seeing these pictures, witnessing the story, living the story as a student journalist, and I didn't expect that I could get back to Hong Kong and make this story happen. So, and I had to wrap up this pub journey with one quote. I don't know where this is from, but maybe it's from my mind. But anyways, innocence is the strongest shield against malice, and peace is the most powerful weapon against violence. And that is like the whole proof, nothing but the truth inside what I experienced in that region. Like, obviously, I was so innocent. I wasn't prepared for anything. Like, some friends recommend me not to go there because I haven't experienced in war reporting and I haven't accepted any hostile environment reporting, and I may get myself killed in that area. So I'm indeed lucky, and I hope that after listening to this talk, don't go to the war zone, please. Don't go there. And this is the least intense part of my soul-searching journey. So it's all about how my plans and everything been uncontrolled, because I promised my Russian friend, who is actually from southern part of Siberia, and we were supposed to go to St. Petersburg for a birthday party, and I was like, oh, it's fine, because flying from Denmark to St. Petersburg isn't that far away. But eventually, a week after leaving Denmark, and she said, sorry, I'm about to change my location. If you want to go to Siberia, you can join me. And there you go. So being a control freak, I'm so uncomfortable of getting all my logistic and transportation being controlled by another person. So it was definitely getting out of my comfort zone and try to be vulnerable in this sense. And this is Siberia. I was celebrating a 5-day birthday party under the minus 30 degrees Celsius, and it is absolutely unique that you just stick to your promise and fly to Siberia in that minus 30 degrees Celsius, much colder than this air conditioning now. And it is unforgettable. And I experienced all these Russian traditions getting integrated into this community after what I've been through in Ukraine. And once you get used to that, and you'll be more or less supporting one another side. But I try to be neutral in this sense. So I try to make a Russian toast. I try to play the family games like you have to do push-up after losing something while having a birthday celebration. That's a really Russian spirit. And then I went to the wooden house for karaoke in Russian. Obviously, I couldn't understand Russian, but I still tried to imitate their voice. And then we had some private fireworks just designated for my Russian friend, and it is eye-opening because I can't imagine like living in Hong Kong with 7.3 million. Every day there are people having their birthday, and if everyone is having fireworks, then we will spend a lot of money with that. So yeah, that's basically a wrap of my exchange semester, but it is not over. It's not over. Traveling to 21 countries is very unusual for me, for soul searching, and pricely indeed. But yeah, and now I would like to invite all of you to stand up and try to understand what I just said. Please stand up. So could every one of you just make yourself in pairs and try to turn your back against each other. Turn your back against each other. Yes, it's like that. Turn your back against each other if you find a pair. If you can't find a pair, you can turn your back against your chair. That's also fine. Yep. So just close your eyes. Close your eyes for 3 seconds. Think about if you are in a war zone, what would you feel? Would you feel vulnerable? And would you feel vulnerable in the midst of having this power of connecting people? And now you can open your eyes and get back to your seat. Thank you. So here's what I believe. If all of us become vulnerable, we will start looking after each other. And if we start looking after each other, then one day, we don't need to worry about who is stepping against our back because we are protecting each other. That's the spirit of vulnerability. And that's how vulnerability can transform into a form of power. Vulnerability is a new form of power. I thank you very much for listening.